Andrei Iosivas, the star of Bengals preseason game one, coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
Yeah. Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I am Ace. He is Zim. We're coming with a special edition this week, recapping preseason game one. Zim, how you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling enthusiastic. I love the fact that we're talking about football, you know what I'm saying? Like actual games, not speculating on what people seen, not speculating on practice. We all got the idea of being able to see directly what's in your face. So I'm really excited to talk about this, bro.
Oh, for sure. So recapping the game, the Bengals lost to the Packers 36-19 yesterday. They had 60,000 plus people at home yesterday. The offense struggled a little bit. I think struggle will be an understatement. I actually just rewatched some clips this morning. Lots of turnovers for the Bengals offense. However, even though there was some ugly football at points, there were definitely some signs of things that look good. Starting on the offensive side, you know, Andrei Iosivas, we've interviewed him on this channel. Definitely be sure to check that out. But he really just went out there and kind of had a breakout performance when you talk about it, especially the guy being a 6th-round draft pick. He went out there, ended up with, you know, some great catches, 4 receptions for 50 yards. Could have had a touchdown on one of them if his foot didn't fall on the line. Really came out there and did his thing. Some other guys and some other friends of the show that actually showed up as well. You talk about Chris Evans, 7 carries for 49 yards for a 7-yard per carry average. Really had that big long run with the 34-yarder on that play. Some of the other guys stuck out as well. But Zim, what did you see offensively from this offense and what they did yesterday?
Offensively, let's just stick on the offensive side of the ball. I'm gonna mix it up good and bad. I thought they made it pretty good on. I thought Browning up front. I'm looking at a lot of offensive line play. I thought there was a series where even the check down to Chase Brown. I think this was later with Simeon. I'm sorry, but the check down to Chase Brown. If you go watch the ends on that one, that's a Adeniji and Deontay Smith. I thought they blocked that up really well. I'm gonna be talking a lot about Yoshi. But Yoshi had a really good block on a hot route that was thrown to the outside to Kwame Lassiter late in that game. And I think if he doesn't make that block, then that play potentially could get blown up. I thought Browning was a gamer. He was, moving around. He's not the best quarterback in the world. The arm talent, you can see from an arm talent standpoint, he doesn't have what Simeon has, but the mental makeup, to me, he was a lot better in that aspect. I said this last night, maybe because I'm a Bengal fan. We just know wide receivers, bro. Me and you, we talk wide receivers a lot. I love the wide receiver position. Iosivas has got me looking at this team very different. You're one of the main people this offseason saying the Bengals don't really value tight ends that much. And I was one of the people that was dead wrong and saying, man, you got to have a tight end. You got to – and not to say I was dead wrong, but I think we're seeing a philosophy change in what they might be doing moving forward this upcoming season. To me, it sounds kind of crazy because on the surface, you could potentially get Joe Burrow killed doing this. But taking people back to LSU, going 5 wide with the tight end flexed out, Irv Smith reminds me of a souped-up Thaddeus Moss. So in the joint practices, Irv Smith had like 7-8 catches. So he didn't play last night. But if you're going to say you're going to go 5 wide, it dictates what other teams – the thing that made the LSU team so special is nobody had linebackers or anything that check those wide receivers. Right. If the Bengals can go with Yoshi and put him against your 4th best cornerback every week, to me it's a big matchup nightmare. But the problem to me is like the offensive line has to hold up. Now, we don't have a chance to see the starting offensive line, so – I don't know if they're able to work this in slowly, but I just find a hard time. I walked away from that game, and I get it. I'm a super homer watching Bengals players. There's some guys on Green Bay. I thought his name was John Michael something, whatever, the cornerback. I thought he flashed. They had a running back that flashed. And Clifford, even though he threw 2 picks, I thought he flashed. But on our side of the ball, it was just impossible for me to not look at Yoshi and say, I think he's like one of the best people on the field. And it wasn't even close. And I thought like the catch that he had that was a non-catch, if you factor that in with another one that he should have had where I thought the ball was just a bad ball, he would have had well over 100 yards. And you're telling me that this guy, like, if Zach Taylor is who I think he is, and he's getting smarter, he's getting better. He starts off a young coach, and now he's got all this thing, and Joe Burrow's gotten better. They got to figure out a way to get Yoshi out there. And the main reason is because Yoshi is not your third wide receiver. Most teams in the NFL, I think he'd be like the third wide out. To me, the Packers, Christian Watson, him and Yoshi look about the same to me last night, and that's probably their wide receiver too. So you're saying like, bro, if you don't figure out a way to get him out there, I just don't know. I'll be upset at that every week, and that was my biggest takeaway on offense, bro.
No, I'm with you. Like there were a lot of people that said that, and I don't understand where it kind of came from, because I think a lot of people just looked at him coming out of Princeton and said, oh, he hasn't played against, superior competition, so he's raw and all of that. When I watched him on film, he didn't look like a receiver that was raw. He looked like the guy that we saw last night, especially on that run after catch play where he gets it. Like he did that at Princeton all of the time. But it's good to see him coming together. Obviously, like you said, he is a threat. That's what makes it very interesting, because now for sure that the Bengals have five guys that they can literally go wide with at any moment. You talk about
Trent Irwin.
He had the big, long reception yesterday for like 30-plus yards. And now you got Yoshi, like you're saying as well. A guy that struggled.
We're not even talking about Charlie.
Charlie Jones. He struggled a little bit. Go ahead.
Say Charlie's healthy, though. Say Charlie's healthy.
Yeah.
You might have 6.
Charlie, you might have 6, like Zim is saying. So I think, yesterday gave some of those guys that are on the 5 to 6 range an opportunity, or the 5 to 7 range, to kind of prove why they should be taken. Iosivas definitely did his thing. Charlie struggled a bit. I'm not going to sit here and say like that's going to be the final thing for Charlie, but I think some of the expectations that people put on Charlie were a little unfair with him, coming off of a year where he only really played wide receiver 1 year at Purdue. Before that, it was mostly special teams. So giving him a chance to really assimilate to the offense, get over the shoulder injury like Zim is talking about, that's just a tall kind of order for him to get down now. I think eventually he'll get it. He'll get the speed of the game and everything going on. And when he does, I think Charlie will be fine. So I'd like to see Charlie and Andrei in early and often next play. But Zim, talk a little bit about the defense.
Real quick, too, on the offense, I want to talk about Chase Brown. I thought Chase Brown had some runs that were super rookie-like. He had a big 3rd and 5 one that I want to highlight, where he got the extra 2-3 yards at the end of the run. And he's got to be very, very careful about ball protection with that, getting the extra 2 yards, kind of like the Jeremy Hill playoff run. I thought that was a sign of a pro. Getting that tough 2 yards is really like a calling card. And he runs so hard. He made a cut one time that I really like. Charlie Jones, I thought was super hesitant all night. The punt return that he had, I thought he could have got more than 2 yards. I thought he struggled to separate even at the end. Remember they ran the 4th and 5, the separation on the sideline. I'm like, bro, if route running is like your forte and you're going against 3rd string corners and you're not getting separation, I'm like, what in the heck? He had 6 targets and only 2 catches on 11 yards. So I did want to say that. Going to the defensive side of the ball, I thought the man in the name, and Cheeto said it, is Tycen Anderson. 2 picks, 1 pick 6, one where he just was a man amongst boys, ripped the ball right out of his hands. I thought he is going to be, and I said this all off season, a tight end killer. They had him on our guy Tucker Kraft, or my guy who I wanted in the draft. Had him on him, and it's nothing. You got the 4.3 speed, you got the frame, the size, all these different things. I don't want to say a specific name, but there's a tight end in mind that I think Lou Anarumo is thinking, that's a guy that I think I feel comfortable with Tycen Anderson being able to lock up or at least play in the same vicinity of that guy. I thought that stood up. Some of the guys like Dominic Davis late in that game up front, I thought that stood out. He made some really good plays. There's also, I thought Miles Murphy needs to get into his pass rush bag a little bit more and develop some more moves. But the 2 tackles that I saw him make, I thought he made those plays to show his athleticism, running down and chasing down a play. Another one where he showed his athleticism and his reach. So as a run defender, day one, he should be fine. I'm not worried about that. I feel like you get those snaps. In the NASCAR package, with the Osai, Hendrickson, Hubbard, and Murphy, I don't know. I think that might be Cam Sample right now, bro. He's flashed the most at camp. And then you got Zach Carter is another guy, too, that I think they're going to rely on him a lot more for run interior stuff. But this defensive line is deep. But if Myles Murphy isn't winning against second, third string dudes, then that's not going to be a guy that they're going to be calling for pass rush. But on early downs, I expect to see his athleticism, especially you go against running quarterbacks or improvising quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson. Those are guys that I would love to have Myles Murphy's reach going on. He looked like the biggest guy on the field. I thought DJ Turner, Juan Drago had some really big plays too. I thought he had 2 good pass breakups. He did get cooked on that one play, but guess who's there? Dax Hill on the back end, showing that speed, that range. That play is insane. If you did not watch the game last night, go watch that game of all plays. Ace, tell me some people.
Yeah, I think I would say similar things, but I'll just talk about just specific things that kind of cast a wide net. The speed and athleticism in the secondary is evident. You saw that last night, like you said, on the Daxton Hill play. You see DJ Turner get beat, but you see Dax be able to come from midfield, get over to that side, and stop a Christian Watson touchdown from happening. That just flashed the athleticism there. Then you talk about some of the other guys. Jordan Battle, I think, really had a good game as well. There was a play, I think it was a blown play. He was there to have a tackle for loss. He was there on the first play where he had a big hit on a player on the Packers initially on the first series he was in. He was all over the field. And I think the funny thing is a lot of people had questions and concerns about the safeties in the secondary. And honestly, it was a little flipped from what I kind of expected. When we look at some of the guys that didn't play so well, such as Sidney Jones and plays that were given up, I was expecting that to kind of be on the safety side. It actually seemed like the safeties were playing a lot better than the corners were. You talk about Tycen Anderson. That was a guy that I was high on just because of the athleticism profile, just knowing that last year in the preseason he played well. So I knew that he would be in the mix as well. It seems like the safety group is extremely deep because Nick Scott doesn't even play in this game. Then you've got Dax Hill, you've got Tycen Anderson, you've got Jordan Battle, and you still have Michael Thomas, who was also out there for special teams, also was very congratulatory of Tycen Anderson because he's the veteran that's been working with him. So the safety room seems to be pretty deep. I mean, them playing Jordan Battle and Tycen Anderson together was not something that I saw happening. Like you said, DJ Turner, shaky early, but had a bunch of key plays where he came up and made tackles, came up and made pass deflections on a 4th down and 5 where they tried him again. I think DJ Turner looked pretty good. Some of the other guys, unfortunately, our boy Allen George didn't have the best game in the first half. Bounced back a little bit in the second half.
But the first, bro, that PI, why did they never show the replay on that? I'm going to look at the all 22 on that joint today, bro. I thought that was a good play. What did you think about that?
I thought it was a good play too. I didn't think it was a flag. I don't think that they should have called.
I think if they go in the film, I don't think they're mad at that play, bro. I was mad that he didn't argue the call. Maybe he grabbed the arm and I couldn't see it, but I thought they were interviewing like Reader or something on the sideline or Tobin or something. And I don't know. I thought he made a good play on the ball. I thought him and Ivy, I thought those two tackled really well. Yeah. Ivy tackled front, he folded Kraft, but him and Ivy, I thought in Battle, and I mean Battle has some big hits.
Speaking of Ivy,
Battle's a gamer.
Nah, he is. You speaking of Ivy, the play that he got caught slipping on, that was the only play that I saw Myles Murphy like almost get a sack. Like if you look at that play as the quarterback is throwing it, Myles Murphy is like coming around and is about like if that quarterback would have held it for 0.2, 0.3 more seconds, Myles Murphy probably has a sack on the play. That was the most that I saw Myles Murphy get into the backfield. I'm with you guys on saying like he didn't really flash much. That was the only play he really flashed on to me. honestly, if I'm keeping it a buck, the other edge that we drafted in the 7th round last year, he flashed a little bit more than Myles Murphy, but I'm not too surprised because Myles Murphy has to get more pass rush moves. Other than that, he can beat you on the first step, but he doesn't really have the move set. And like Zim is saying, to see him struggle against guys that are on the second and third team obviously is concerning, but he does have the athleticism and the potential to be something, but he's obviously going to have to work on that. So we'll see how he bounces back in the second game. Tufele was a dude.
Tufele was killing. But Myles Murphy, I do want to say this. He was getting doubled. I think later on, I think I'm going to cut up some plays for Murphy, though, because I do want people to see he was playing against lesser talent, and there were times where he was getting locked up. And yes, he didn't have the moves. I did think that they were doubling him up later in the game, and even in the plays that he did make. I just think that when Trey Hendrickson's on the field, he's going to get singled. So there's a little bit of context missing on it. It's just you want to see him beat less than guys. If you're talking about a first-round talent and playing him early, maybe we work him in throughout the season because, like I said, Cam Sample been looking so good at camp.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to take out of this that was positive.
McPherson.
And then the other thing is this, like a lot of people, I don't know if they're just casuals and they don't know, like the Bengals weren't playing any of their starters. Like the whole starting offensive line wasn't out there. The 3 Migos weren't out there. None of the tight ends, like Drew Sample didn't play a snap. That's how crazy it was with people not playing. You probably the only starters that I really saw out there were Dax Hill. Dax Hill. Basically, that was
it. And I think, and somebody said this, they said, man, I've seen enough. I said, man, I think so too. But the difference between him and Nick Scott is he doesn't have the amount of live rounds to be like, okay, we 1,000% no. And I just think to get him acclimated, even if it's just one series, like even the next preseason game, I'm still for it. I just want to make sure I want to get him in tackling situations too. That's another thing. I don't care about the range. The range, I've been saying this all off season. I think you might see a slight upgrade on Jesse Bates. I'm sorry. I know that's a hot take. But the tackling ability and being the sureness of it, those are the things that I need to see. Can he go 17 weeks with that? And if he can't, that's where Battle looked like a dude to me for real.
Yeah, like Battle was out there for sure.
Battle was straight, bro.
Man, I want to go back and talk about a guy that got hurt. Actually, on the offensive side, me and you have talked about a lot from the tight end position because I didn't see anything from the tight end position except for when Tanner Hudson was in. Tanner Hudson was looking like he was going to be on his way to having a really solid performance. Obviously, he leaves with a concussion. Hopefully, he's going to be okay. They also had an injury to a linebacker, Joe Bacci, and I thought that was going to open the door for Shaka Hayward to have more of an impact. He didn't have a bad game. He just didn't really step up like the way that I really expected him to. So I felt like the linebackers, I didn't really see much from that group as the game went on. But outside of that, bro, was there anything
McPherson, bro?
McPherson special teams. Let's hit on that. Go ahead.
I thought McPherson nailed all of his kicks. The 51-yarder looked like it could have been good from 62. So that's very encouraging. Money Mac isn't missing a beat. I just thought everything that they did from him. And then Robbins on the whole. Also, Robbins' punt. The one he was robbed of one inside the 5-yard line. I thought he got robbed of that one. So those are different things that I was looking for. I thought that they cooked on special teams outside of that one big return. And that's one of the reasons when you talk about like this wide receiver thing, I think they're bringing 7. I think Stanley Morgan being a special teams ace and being and then you start seeing how good Yoshi is as a wide receiver. You might say, maybe we don't even need this dude on special teams like that. We want him to get 10 snaps a game at wide receiver because now we're running 4 and 5 wide sets. And now I need Stanley Moore. And there's another thing. We run so many 11 personnel things. And I get Jamar Chase had the big blocks in space. I get Jamar Chase has done big things in space. But as it pertains to the run game, you are going to have to run 3-4 runs out of 11 personnel per game. And those plays I've been seeing get blown up Even at practice, they had the other day with Jamar Chase. He let a play get blown up as a blocking. Like, I'll tell you how amazing the wide receivers are all day. But as blockers, I don't believe in any of them outside of Stanley Morgan. And I don't know if he makes the roster or not, but that's something that has to be refined if you want to be able to run. Even if you had a planned play and then you want to check to a run out of 11 personnel, you got to make sure that your wide receivers are willing, strong enough, and being able to seal that line so that these runs can, go do their thing. So we're going to see a lot of those things happen. But I thought from a special team standpoint, I thought they did really well, really good. And Robbins is exactly as advertised last night. I thought he was robbed of a punt right inside the 5, and that thing was from like 62 yards or something like that. He's a weapon.
He's definitely a weapon. I agree with you on everything on the special teams. Before we wrap the show up, I want to talk about one last topic that happened yesterday that had the internet talking. Joe Shiesty shows up, is throwing without the sleeve on, throwing 50-yard passes without the sleeve on, doing some sprints. Pro Football Doc said that it looks like he's definitely on track to play week 1. A lot of the ops were in shambles because a lot of them thought that at first they thought it was an Achilles. Then they were like, oh, he's going to be out. Then obviously Jamar came out there and threw the media off saying that they were going to be out, that he could be out to week 5, and the ops started buying into that. We always felt like it wasn't the case, but that just shows that, Joe Burrow is ready to go. And I mean, with him out there throwing 50-yard passes, bro, I mean, that's going to be amazing progress. Joe is always a dude, because we've seen him do this before. He is methodical in the things that he does. Like, remember when he came out from the knee injury, and I think he took the brace off or something like that. He wanted people to see that. He did that on purpose, bro. Going out there, throwing the 50-yard passes without the sleeve on. He wanted to let people know that he was back. How do you feel about this news that Joe Burrow is progressing well and will play week 1?
I was excited. My wife had to catch me. I almost fainted in the kitchen when I saw Joey throwing them footballs out there, bro. I feel so good about just seeing him out there. I think we all knew as fans, like, it was nothing really to worry about. Everybody had these weird conspiracy theories. Like, they were like, oh, they're hiding the injury and the contract stuff. Like, no, bro. Like, the Bengals are not weird like that, and everything doesn't have to be a second meaning or whatever. They are handling it like they should. It's a franchise quarterback. If he gets a pimple that bursts incorrectly on his face, we're going to go tend to that in the back. We're not playing around with this dude. This is a $500 million dude. So if he gets a strain, twisted ankle, anything like that, you got to treat it with love and care for real. And it's just as simple as that. And if you don't have a franchise quarterback on that level, they can't really understand that. So you got to be very cautious about it. And that's what Jamar Chase was saying, is like, even if you feel like you're straight, let that thing simmer down. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. So There were teams that were celebrating last night with their starters playing in preseason games and stuff like that. That just lets me know you're not looking at the overall picture like that. And if you got to revert back to 10 and 15 years to say we got rings and stuff like that, we are operating in 2023. None of our starters played, and Joe Burrow will not play any of the preseason as well as any of our starting talent, because we've got that part we feel figured out. So for the rest of the lineup, we're having these good conversations now on, hey, how does Battle look? How does Iosivas look? How does that go and insert into a couple plays in the offense? This is a well-oiled machine that's figured out, and I feel like people get a chance, though, in real time to see how Bengals fans are. We are letting people know. I did not think Sidney Jones played really well. I thought that the backup offensive line almost got Simeon killed. Unacceptable. Jackson Carmen's performance last night was horrible. That was one of his worst performances, and he could get someone hurt. That is what Bengals fans like. If we're not playing well, but see, when we are playing well, they don't like that. And so when we tell them we beat them, or we tell them that we got the best wide receiver, or we got a top 10 defense, or we got a fringe top 10 offensive line possibly now, we got a top court defensive coordinator, they consider that bragging because they aren't paying attention to when we are critical on the team as well. But Joe Burrow just had to got to get that situation handled. I was very excited. He was sprinting. he was going through his regimen that he does usually pregame and stuff like that. I put out a video last night of like his timing throws. I put it out at like midnight. I don't know if people seen that, but I got eyes inside the building. Joe Burrow's fine. We looking real good.
Facts. Well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. We'll come back with our regular format starting next week, and pretty soon we'll be back to doing 2 days a week. So stick with us. Make sure you hit that notification bell. We'll definitely be hitting you guys up as the season gets geared up to start. Shout out to my man Manny out there, but shout out to you guys for following us. Follow Zim on Twitter at ZimHude. Follow me at New Stripe City. Follow the Wincinnati Pod at Wincinnati Pod. And make sure you leave us a review that helps other Bengals fans find us. And as usual, we'll end this with a yes.
Sirski!
Yes. Sirski! Hello, world. We got a special show, as always. TJ Iosivas, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow. Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do
fan.
you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man.
Yeah. Shock the world.